Previously on Secretary of Shade. Bitch! Oh. Breaking news. Breaking news, bitch. Manafort, guilty. Cohen, singing. Meanwhile, on CNN, bitch, you would think it's the 4th of July. The way they are going off. Okay? I am gagging. Now, we're going to get into this book. But, honey, Manafort, 8 counts guilty, bitch. You're going up the river. I'm just saying, bitch. I hope you got something on your books. Don't drop the soap. And don't be sucking dick for cigarettes, bitch. That's all I'm saying. Michael Cohen singing like a fish admits to 8 counts. Y'all both gonna be tapping asses for cigarettes in the print, like, bitch. And that's federal, bitch. That's not giving county jail. That's not giving Baltimore City Detention Center. Okay? It's not even giving out justice, bitch. It's giving federal maximum security for that ass. Y'all are done. Now, I'm gagging because Manafort got found guilty today on 5 counts of tax evasion. Me and you, our black asses, getting our checks garnished for $1,000. Then you got call the IRS. You know only 5 people work in the IRS call center. So you gotta wait for like an hour for somebody to finally take your call. And then you gotta beg them bitches for a payment plan. Meanwhile, the president ain't paid no taxes. Okay? No taxes. We don't even know if he paid taxes. They doing tax evasion. Okay? Like, I'm gagging right now. .com. .net. Meanwhile, on CNN, Wolf Blitzer, Aaron Barnett, them bitches is over there having a field day with this news. Okay? We gonna get into this chapter. I think the president is losing it. Can everybody hear me? Is everybody good? Okay? Is everybody good? Okay. We're going to get into this chapter. Now, some of you asked me, well, you know, DDM, like the book's winding down. Bitch, politics is the gift that keep on giving. Because April Ryan got a book coming out next. And see, this is the thing. This is how I know we're in an unconventional time. Because when do White House reporters go on TMZ to promote their book? I think that her book may not be as juicy, but it's going to be interesting. We'll take a crack at it. If we like it, we like it. If we don't, we don't. But here on Secretary of Shade, yes, bitch, I am referencing that like a show. We are speaking this into existence, folks. We talk about the things that everybody else don't really talk about. No, I'm not going to address the VMAs. Why? Because, bitch, we already know that was a train wreck. Why are we rehashing a bloody death? We talk about things that are going to impact our lives, have a chuckle, maybe a glass of wine, and we keep it moving. So, without further ado, we're going to get into this chapter. I think the president is losing it. Okay? Oh, shout out to Tevin Elliott. This is a picture of Solange for those of you that I've seen a few of you ask that. So, we're going to get into this chapter, bitch. So, chapter 12, I think the president is losing it. When I look back at the volume, depth, and the breadth of the work I had, I see that I couldn't pause for a minute to evaluate what was going on outside the building. I couldn't come up for air. I kept getting tackled by my own teammates, always playing defense. I was working as hard as fast as I could. My schedule during Black History Month alone exhausts me just writing about it. But the headlines were always asking, what she doing there. Now, no shade, Omarosa. Bitch, the reason why you was getting tackled by your teammates, bitch, is because you was recording every goddamn thing. They might as well have attached the damn GoPro to your goddamn head, bitch. Put it up under that weave or something. That's why they be tackling your dumb ass. But anyway, you know, as we have learned, Omarosa likes to act stupid for her to be such an intelligent person. But we're going to move on. The resentment and jealousy came at me from inside and outside the White House. I was taking hits from every direction. The fact that Donald had pulled out my chair at the listening session back in February made headlines, with high-level anonymous sources asking, can you imagine the President of the United States pulling out a chair for an aide? It was impossible not to hear the condescending and racist overtones. Where people have said that if she pulled out a chair for Hope Hicks, she do not like this Hope Hicks bitch. She can't stand Hope Hicks bitch. The president was polite to me, and people criticized that gesture as an opportunity to put me in my place and to diminish me. And it goes without saying, it completely ignored the purpose of the event itself, to build a bridge between the administration and the African American community. I was under such incredible scrutiny that I didn't have the luxury of commiserating with anyone about it. In a Daily Beast article about the controversy of my being part of the Trump administration, Joy Reid noted that long knives were reaching for me. And again, I was the only black woman, the only person inside the West Wing who was fighting day in and day out to support HBCUs, for Pell Grants for minority students, protections for Muslims, reproductive rights for women. Yet the hot take on me was that I was ambitious, opportunistic, vengeful, assertive, demanding. The very qualities that help most cabinet members and senior advisors secure their position. Perhaps I should have just groveled gratefully. Now, bitch, the reason why people calling you all of that, you saying you protecting, you looking out for rights of minorities, HBCUs, and all of that, but you can't even check him on how to act in church, bitch. You ain't had no candy in your purse to give his ass to keep him busy or something while they fucking preaching. That's why you got that title. Omarosa, please don't act stupid. I'm here for you, but bitch. At the end of April, Kellyanne, a.k.a. Skeletor, and I were invited to the NRA annual meeting in Atlanta. So the NRA, as most of you know, National Rifle Association, the gun people. She was asked to be the keynote speaker at the Women's Leadership Forum for female members. If a Republican White House official is summoned to attend an NRA convention, there's no question that you had to go. 77% of the gun-owning members of the 5 million strong organization were Republicans. So, let's unpack that. 77% of 5 million members of the National Rifle Association are Republicans. You know what I say to that, bitch? Democrats, get some guns, bitch, because we all gonna get shot the fuck up. Everybody else got guns. We ain't got no guns, bitch. Y'all need to get some guns, bitch, because most of y'all, we gonna get killed. Fucking with them. Anyway, although I was fascinated by the intensity of the women gun lovers, I was even more riveted by Kellyanne's performance, praising Jeff Sessions' law and order approach to every problem, and Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke's reversal of a ban on lead ammunition in national lands. I had no idea what her position was before this event, but at that panel, she was outgunning all the other women in the room with her passionate Second Amendment zeal. Now, pause. For those of you who don't know, Kellyanne Conway publicly denounced the Trump administration. I don't want to say denounced, but she was very critical of the Trump administration before Donald offered her ass a job. In fact, she was a political correspondent, a political commentator on CNN up until the summer of the campaign when she was brought on for campaign manager. So Kellyanne Conway, understand these people make decisions based on money and position. Her ass was saying Donald ain't shit, just like everybody else. Now the bitch at inaugurations wearing terrible Gucci dresses that don't nobody want. That must have been on the C-list collection, bitch. Looking like you fucking lost 80 pounds. But never mind. Kellyanne was a chameleon. No motherfucking shade. and she could change her camouflage depending on which candidate she supported or which room she was in. Hey, we all know a bitch like that. Trump spoke at the main event and recounted his election night victory, as always, and promised the crowd that as long as he was president, the NRA had a friend in the White House. As he came off stage, he said to me, "Great energy, right? Great show." We next motorcaded to a fundraiser less than a mile away. As White House staffers, it would have been improper for Kellyanne and I to attend the fundraiser, so we were locked in a room for propriety's sake and had a quick meal there. We flew back with the president on Air Force One. My first time. It was thrilling to be on a plane, even for the less than 2-hour flight. I went around taking pictures of the famous conference room in the president's Oval Office. Bitch, you better be a groupie. The president and I talked about guns on that flight, and I learned that he owned a .45 caliber Heckler & Koch pistol and a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver. Now, if you ever listen to any rap song from the 90s, bitch, you know everybody had a Heckler & Koch and a Smith & Wesson. Matter of fact, it's a rap group named Smith & Wesson, bitch. So we should all be familiar with those. During one of the GOP primary debates, I recalled that Trump had said, "I do carry on occasion, sometimes a lot. I like to be unpredictable." Bitch, you ain't never lied. I felt a bit of a chill, putting that together with his famous claim at an Iowa rally in January 2016. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters. Really, bitch? That was certainly true of the folks I met at the NRA meeting. Also on that flight, I spoke at length for the first time with Dr. Ronnie Jackson, Trump's physician who also oversaw the White House medical program. He showed me Air Force One's mini surgical suite where open heart surgery could be performed and said, "Come on, I'll check your vitals." Dr. Jackson served a function similar to concierge doctors in Hollywood. I've seen this during my time in LA. Celebrities paid a huge premium to have a doctor on call who would write them any prescription they want, meaning they was junkies. Throughout my time in the White House, as a part of a little-known program called the Executive Medical Program, the cabinets and all assistants to the president, remember APs, could get prescriptions for any ailment, bitch. They all in there getting high, bitch. Codeine, promethazine, Tylenol, bitch, horse tranquilizers, they going off. They would give out anything, right from the bottle. No prescription, bitch, they taking it to the head. No prescription needed. Say your back was hurting. You go in and complain and walk out with a month's supply of powerful pain medications. The logic behind the free flow of meds was that the cabinet and assistants to the presidents had to keep ticking. We couldn't have insomnia or fatigue or be bothered by back pain. All we had to do was ask and we would receive whatever pill we wanted. Bitch, the country is being ran by junkies. The long and the short of it. Junkies, bitch. Okay? On May 5th, the head usher of the White House, Angela Reid, the first woman and second African-American to hold that position, was fired. Bitch, how you fire a black person from an usher position, bitch? The usher position? Bitch, if you ain't gonna have no niggas in the White House, I know we know how to be ushers, bitch. Okay? You fired the usher, bitch? Crazy. Although Reid was a carryover from Obama, having held the job since 2011, it was not considered a political position, and it was unusual for an incoming president to fire an usher. Okay? You fired the usher, bitch. Let it burn, motherfucker. Her ass is on unemployment. Fucked up. I was upset because it meant one less black woman in the building. Less than 2 months after Trump fired Michael Singleton, Ben Carson, senior advisor at HUD, because of an article he written for the Hill website that was critical of Trump. I made a point of asking everyone in the senior staff about Reid's firing. We can't keep getting rid of black people for flimsy reasons, I told a number of people. As communications director for the Office of Public Liaison, I need to explain why this woman was let go. The official line was, "We don't discuss personnel matters." The unofficial line, that she wasn't very well liked, and allegedly Trump didn't approve of her handling of his tanning bed, bitch. So he was mad because the bitch was fucking up his tanning bed. So he fired her ass. I heard he was unhappy with her efforts to procure the bed, to bring it into the East Wing securely, to find a discreet place for it, and to set it up properly. Also, apparently, Reed just hated him and didn't hide her feelings about it. Now, bitch, no shade. Don't be asking no black people about how to work no fucking tanning bed. We don't use no damn tanning beds. We don't know what tanning beds is. We just know motherfuckers lay in them and they come out orange and crinkly, bitch. No shade. I'd have been like, I wouldn't have knew what to do either, bitch. What you want me to do with the tanning bed? Anyway, as the whole world is well aware, the Trump presidency in May 2007 was defined by what we on the inside summed up with one phrase: the Russian concussion. And bitch, no shade, y'all about to get headaches galore between this book, Michael Cohen, and Paul Manafort. Y'all might as well get ready. That doctor on Air Force One gonna need to prescribe y'all more than some goddamn Percocets, bitch. Now, on May 9th, Donald fired James Comey, the director of the FBI. Remember, he fired him, and the man was out on a job. He didn't even know he was fired. How you get fired on your day off, Craig? What the fuck are you stealing boxes for? Fired him, okay? The public reason was that he disapproved of Comey's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Remember that bullshit? That's the excuse he tried to pin on it. Trump's famous letter to Comey included this extraordinary sentence: "While I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation, I nonetheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau." Of course, the firing was all about Comey's rejection of Trump's loyalty demand. Trump had been talking about firing Comey for weeks, but I never thought he'd go through with it. This bitch is Dixie. During one of my visits, he asked, "Hey, Omarosa, what do you think about Comey? I had to let him go, right? He couldn't be trusted. He was not loyal." I appeased him by saying, "Hey, you did what you had to do." Bitch, she played the 50 like a motherfucker. No one, and I do not mean not one single person in the White House, agreed with his decision, but they didn't dare to tell him. He was so all over the place at that point, anything could trigger fits of rage, and you did not want to be on the receiving end of one of those. He could get very worked up about the leaks. He wasn't happy about the staff. Ivanka and Jared were urging him to get rid of Ranks and Sean. Others were bombarding him with issues he needed to deal with. The communications team briefings on the Comey firing are incredible documents in the art of alternative facts. The talking points will sound familiar to any news junkie because you have heard them repeated on Fox News, blah, blah, blah. Now, Hope Hicks was in charge of all the president's interviews. Remember, this is the bitch that basically worked at Ivanka's version of Forever 21, and now she's in charge of press for the fucking White House. Including the ones conducted by Lester Holt for a primetime NBC special about the Comey firing on May 11th. She and counsel prepared him to deny any collusion with Russia. It was the wisest strategy because he could remember it. Donald thought he would get away with just saying there's no collusion, there's no collusion, there's no Russia, there's no Russia. That would be enough to convince the American people that there wasn't. As time went on, his relationship with Russia would be revealed like an onion, one layer at a time. For the Lester Holt interview, now Lester Holt is that like silver daddy, the black guy. You know Lester Holt. Everybody loved Lester Holt. I watched it on a small TV in the upper press room, okay, by the press secretary's office. Throughout this erratic and contradictory interview, I kept thinking, oh no, this is bad. Bitch, you keep saying, oh no, this is bad, oh my God, I can't believe it, and you keep saying. It's like, bitch, it's like, you know what Omarosa is? She the equivalent of like when you having sex and like your partner be like, what you doing to me? Why are you doing this to me? But they don't stop. Bitch, that's what Omarosa is giving. So, Donald rambled. He spoke gibberish. He contradicted himself from one sentence to the next. Hope had gone over the briefing with him a dozen times, hitting the key point that he had fired Comey based on the recommendation of the Department of Justice, which the vice president and other surrogates had been reinforcing for days. He'd already slipped up when he told the Russian ambassador in the Oval Office that he fired Comey for doing a poor job. And then with Lester Hope, he changed the talking point again, saying, I decided to fire him. Hope tried to help him. He said, in your letter, you said that you accepted the Department of Justice recommendation. But regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey, said Donald. In fact, when I decided to do just that, I said it to myself, you know, this Russia thing, this Trump and Russia is a made-up story. It's an excuse by the Democrats for having lost an election that they should have won. It was all his critics needed as proof that Trump had lied. No shit, Sherlock. I'd known Donald to exaggerate and boast. He told white lies and lies of omission all the time. Now, while watching the interview, I realized that something real serious was going on in Donald's brain. His mental decline could not be denied. Many in the White House didn't notice it as keenly as I did because I knew him way back when. They thought Trump was being Trump, off the cuff. But I knew something wasn't right. Bitch, you always know something is right, but you never say nothing. But what could I do? Declare a state of mental emergency for Donald J. Trump? Shall I report this insight to whom exactly? The White House Dr. Ronnie Jackson? I just love that name, Ronnie Jackson. Ronnie, it's like Randy Jackson, but it's Ronnie Jackson. Anyway, whose job depended on Trump's approval of him. A man who will go on to declare an obviously obese, sleep-deprived man in excellent health. Remember that when they did the physical and he came for Hillary and then the doctor lied and said that, you know, oh, Trump's fine. Now, bitch, if you look at his hairline, that hairline is a crime, bitch. You already know he not fine just based off that. No man is naturally orange with a hairline that's back here, but the comb over is like a goddamn beetle. Nobody does that. That's not in good condition, bitch. Anyway. So, to Dr. Don Jr., Ivanka, or Eric, whatever, she talking about who she gonna tell. She was completely trapped herself. Ooh, Melania, bitch. She said Melania trapped. And what would I say? I'm not a doctor. I think the president is losing it. I texted Laura and said, hey, can you catch up? Let me know when you're in the building. Now, Laura is the bitch that tried to bribe Omarosa. Remember that? She Trump's wife. That's the bitch that tried to pay Omarosa the $15,000 a month not to put this book out. When she came by in a week or so, I said, I'm really concerned about him. She said, I know. The whole situation is really messed up. No, I mean his language is incoherent. This is more than just a no, she said, like she didn't want to hear it. I think he needs to be checked. She shook her head and said, it's fine. Even having a conversation with a family member was a risk. If news got out that I thought the president was delusional or mentally impaired, the impact on national and global stability could be cataclysmic. I would eventually talk to several high-level people in the White House about my concerns, and they all shut me down quickly and decisively with warnings. See, bitch, this is why they want to defy your ass. You going around the White House, like, at this point, you just keep talking to people. You can, like, now I'm starting to question if you was really from the projects, bitch. Because anybody in the street know you don't go over there asking everybody the same goddamn question, because eventually people going to talk. So, really, bitch? Anyway. I was operating out of concern for a friend, but the friend in question was the President of the United States. And as of May 17th, that friend and his campaign administration were under investigation by Robert Mueller for collusion. In mid-May, Mika Brzezinski made a shocking claim about Kellyanne Conway on Morning Joe. This is a woman, by the way, who came on our show during the campaign and would show for Trump in extensive fashion. And then she would get off the air, the camera would be turned off, the microphone would be taken off, and she would say, blah, I need to take a shower, because she disliked her candidate so much. And that's true, because Don Lemon, y'all know Mother Dawn, we live for Don now. Don actually did get his card back for the cookout after that Ferguson and Baltimore uprising shit when he tried this slightly. Don called Kellyanne Conway out when Kellyanne got that job on the Trump campaign, because Kellyanne, like we said earlier in the broadcast, Kellyanne had always been vocal about, criticizing Trump. So the Mika bitch is telling the truth. Mika, no shade. The bitch named Mika. Okay. Joe followed up by saying Kellyanne described the campaign as her summer vacay, meaning she'd taken the job to finance a vacation to Europe. So she played with the fate of the country and helping a candidate who was not qualified win, so this bitch could go to Ibiza. Fuck out of here. Now, I'm just doing this for the money. I'll be off this soon, claimed Joe. I marvel at the speed with which Kellyanne's allegiance changed during the campaign. While working for the Cruz Super PAC, remember PACs, political action committees, this is a super PAC, so these motherfuckers are trying to raise money for her ass. Okay. She criticized Trump daily and called his integrity and character into question. And then, when she changed camps, she was gung-ho for him. Any sane person will look at that 180 and naturally assume that she had her own reasons for taking a job, and that it had nothing to do with Trump's belief and vision for the nation. The claims on Morning Joe fit the calculated swamp monster I took Conway for. No shade, because she definitely looked like a swamp monster, and that's fucking facts, no printer, bitch. Now, in our daily senior staff meetings at the White House, she agreed with whatever Trump said. Although the president never wanted anyone to disagree with him, I believe Kellyanne's guessing turned into white noise, a sound that didn't register on his brain. I remember back during the campaign, flying on Trump Force One with her, Donald, Jared, and David Bossie between events. The guys were having a heated debate about some issue or another. Kellyanne kept trying to contribute to the conversation. From her seat across the aisle, she said, guys, listen, well, I think, no, hey, what about the men completely ignore her? She said, no one is listening to me. Because, bitch, you was there for eye, well, you're not there for eye candy, but you there to make shit look good. Not to say that the men weren't rude in how they ignored her or that she didn't have a relevant point to make, but it seemed to me that she had overestimated her status on the campaign. It was possible that she was appointed to the role for optics. Like I just said, bitch. Trump had a woman problem. Lo and behold, a woman was put in charge of the campaign. So Kellyanne Conway was put on this campaign to make it look good. This bitch was a figurehead. She's the Queen of England. She does not matter. She cannot pass any laws. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go straight to jail and talk like a dummy on the news when I need you to. In another part of Trump world, Michael Cohen tweeted a photo of his daughter Samantha in a black bra and black tights and captioned it, "So proud of my Ivy League daughter. Brains and beauty channeling her Edie Sedgwick." The Twitterverse cringed en masse and accused Michael of following in Trump's footsteps by boasting creepily about how hot and sexy his daughter was. He responded to one critic with the classic pit bull style and said, "Beauty and brains, you asshole." To another, who wrote Cohen was posting spank bank material of his own daughter. See, who the fuck thinks of words like spank bank? No shade. Like, spank bank, bitch? Like, that's not some black people shit. Now, I knew Samantha well. This is Cohen's daughter, the bitch in the bra and panties that got her daddy tweeting a picture. I knew Samantha well. She'd been doing an internship in Melania's office, and Michael came to me and said, they have her cutting newspaper clips all day long. Can she come to your office to finish her internship? She needs to use her brilliant brain. Bitch, you was interning for Melania. It ain't that much to do in Melania's office, bitch. So what did you expect? I put her to work rebranding Michelle Obama's Let Girls Learn program. She did a wonderful job with her report and even presented her project to the staff at the Peace Corps. Cohen was a proud dad, just as proud as her smarts and her looks. The aggressive defense of his tweet was wrapped up in his love for her. Also in May, Mike Pence quietly formed a PAC, the Great America Committee, run by campaign strategist Nick Ayers. It is generally unheard of for the VP of a first-term president to start a PAC. So get into this tea. So Mike Pence, on the low, starts a PAC. Now, we know a PAC is a political action committee. Political action committees raise money. So, Mike Pence was probably already on the low, like, Donald ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it. He not getting a second term. Bitch, he might not finish this term. Let me get my coins together now so I can make a go for this election term when it starts. So in Mike Pence's mind, I guarantee you, he probably like, this motherfucker gonna get impeached. He gonna get pushed out. I'm gonna need some money for a re-election campaign. Let me start now. Because otherwise, why would you be doing this? Now, Ayers said its purpose was to support other GOP candidates to pay for Pence's travel and other bills. Around this same time, matter of fact, you're the vice president of the United States. Why you need people to pay for your bills and travel, bitch? You're the vice president. You already living in the White House, in the mansion, bitch, for free. You living in the guest house for free, bitch. Why do you need to raise money to pay your bills? Anyway. Around this same time, many people were saying that Trump would soon be impeached and that President Pence had a nice ring to it. Ayers had been a Pence person for a while already. In good time, he became Pence's chief of staff in the White House, and Corey Lewandowski would take over the PAC. Remember, Corey Lewandowski was Trump's old campaign manager, I believe. Now, my suspicions about Pence only increased when I learned about his PAC. Donald gave him unprecedented access, and he happily accepted Pence's fawning praise and dreamy glances. If Donald wasn't careful, his second might try to stab him in the back. While in New York, I set up a meeting with Mike's nephew, John Pence, at the campaign office in Trump Tower. I told him of my concern about the PAC. He assured me that it was shut down and was not as nefarious as the press made it out to be. Now, see, this is where you should have listened to the black woman. Because one thing about Omarosa, she's a schemer and she's a strategist. Which means 9 times out of 10, she can see a lot of strategies and schemes coming. This was the time where you were supposed to listen to her ass. But you know, it's a black woman. It is what it is. On May 22nd, Donald and Melania flew on Air Force One to Tel Aviv, Israel, landing at Ben Gurion Airport, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife Sarah greeted their counterparts with fanfare and a red carpet laid out for the Americans on the tarmac. As usual, Donald walked ahead of Melania down the plane steps, a habit of his that the media and Twitter found rude, chauvinistic, or just mindless. After a few words were spoken to the small crowd, the two couples continued down the red carpet to waiting limos. Donald walked ahead, and then he reached back to take Melania's hand. She swatted his hand away with the flick of her wrist and walked elegantly on. Remember that? It was the flick of the wrist, flick of the wrist. Remember when Melania did that shit and we gagged? So I feel like she already knew what was going on. And you know, allegedly, Melania was fucking a security guard at Tiffany's in Trump Tower. I don't know how true that is, but people was talking about that shit on the news for a minute. It was in there. Anyway, now, I saw the coverage from my office in the EEOB and watched the hand slap on 4 channels simultaneously and super close up. The very next day, the first couple flew to Rome, and Melania avoided hand-to-hand contact with Donald again, in full view of the waiting press spread. They stood at the top of Air Force One staircase and waved. Then Donald tried to take her hand, and she quickly moved to brush hair out of her face to avoid him. It was simply not possible that Melania was unaware of the tremendous reaction the world would have to these small gestures. I believe that something was going on with the two of them privately. One can only surmise that it was about the many allegations of his sexual misconduct during their marriage or her upcoming relocation to the White House. Unlike the past, when she had no recourse or influence, she no longer had to accept her powerlessness. So basically, Melania waited till the camera started rolling to show her ass. I believe that by avoiding Donald's clasp in public, Melania was grasping the full extent of her new power. At any time, if she so desired, she could humiliate him in public with small, ambiguous gestures, just as he openly humiliated her with his affairs and lascivious behavior for years, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop her. When she moved into the White House in mid-June, people on the staff hoped that she'd be a calming influence on him, but I didn't see how that could be possible. Their relationship did not appear to be nurturing or intimate. It was understood long before she moved to D.C. from New York that she would have a separate bedroom in the residence, just as she had a separate bedroom at Trump Tower. So basically, Melania don't want no Trump peen. She don't want no orange peen. She don't want no old ass peen, if Donald even got any peen. Now, to close out the month, Trump went to a NATO summit in Brussels and shoved Duško Marković, the Prime Minister of Montenegro. Remember that? The Prime Minister of Montenegro, when he shoved them, that was on the news too. So much shit happened. You may have missed it in the news cycle, but basically he shoved the man. It was mad disrespectful, hella crazy. You know what I'm saying? To get in, so he would be standing in the center of a group photo. Of course, he was called out for the move. And I asked him, you came off a little aggressive. Why did you do that? He said, oh, he's just a whiny punk bitch. Is you a rapper or the president, bitch? I'm trying to figure this shit the fuck out. Okay? We'd all been under intense stress for what felt like forever. Around this time, I remember a handful of senior advisors were in the Oval, and Kellyanne excused herself. As soon as she was out the room, Trump waved his hand under his eyes and said, this place is starting to take a real toll on Kellyanne. Meaning when she wasn't looking good. So he was like, bitch, you look a mess. So Trump, you know, Donald don't like the girls looking a mess. So he's like, Kellyanne, you need to get your look together. You notice around that time, Kellyanne started getting her makeup done. She started going to MAC and shit and stopped getting the free samples and actually paying for the full kit. So, Trump moved to insult or criticize someone's appearance or manner as soon as they left the room. As I mentioned, Donald always took it as a personal betrayal when former friends became his enemies. He'd asked me at one point to tell him who I thought the leakers were, and I didn't miss a beat and started with Katie Walsh. Donald said, I don't want her anyway. Reince brought her all these people in from the RNC, all disloyal, ungrateful people. Donald set out to clean house, and he wanted to know who was loyal and who he couldn't trust. So, bitch, he was like, basically, sit your $5 ass down before I make change. He's going crazy. It's Nino Brown. So, just like imagine, like, everybody at the White House, and it's that long table like in New Jack City, and he going around the table and shit, asking questions, and everybody on edge. This is what this shit is getting ready to be. So, Donald set out to clean house, and he wanted to know who was loyal and who he couldn't trust. His level of paranoia was at an all-time high. Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski were people he considered to be backstabbers. When they spoke harshly of him on MSNBC's Morning Joe, he would often rail, no loyalty, none at the screen. Okay? So, remember this. I heard poorly rated at Morning Joe speaks badly of me. Then how come low IQ crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me? She was bleeding badly from a facelift. I said no. Now remember, Mika is the bitch that Trump was going off on Twitter about the facelift. Now, no shade. I didn't feel bad for Mika and her terrible ass facelift, bitch. We can't afford facelifts. You in the White House, you got facelifts, you bleeding from the facelift. Number one, bitch, I don't want to be seen in public until my knee nose is set, bitch, because you got to wait for that goddamn work to stop swelling and even out. And then you got to match your skin tone with your makeup because your shit is all fucked up because you don't rearrange your nose and shit. So why would you even want to go visit Donald Trump with a goddamn facelift? Really, bitch? So, he did watch the show and was incensed by it. When he tweeted about Psycho Joe and low IQ Crazy Mika's facelift, an offensive sexist tweet to be sure, the president was not taken to task for it by his advisors. But I was. I was blamed for Trump's writing those tweets. News accounts accused me of setting him off, but that was just not the case. Early on, during the first 100 days, he frequently called me and others to pull up an article or research and print out something he saw on cable news. He would ask for different news clippings, too. His morning press briefing folders, prepared by Spicer and his staff, only contained positive news items about Trump. They thought that if he read just the glowing reviews, he wouldn't tweet something crazy. The strategy made no sense, since he watched TV any goddamn way. Unless he was in a meeting or at an event, he was sitting in his private dining room office at the Oval Table in front of a wall of cable TV news. Okay? Donald J. Trump was the president of the United States. If he asked me to print out an article and give it to him, I did. I was not his nanny or his nurse, but you was his mammy, bitch. Nor was I his secretary or his executive assistant. He knew he could ask those people for paper. But he didn't want others to know what he was reading or researching, especially if it was gossip. Any paper that goes to the president must pass first to Staff Secretary Rob Porter or his executive. Okay, so they talking about who get the paper and shit. Nobody gives a fuck who cuts out Donald's articles so he can dissect the news. The Mika and Joe tweets were a bridge too far for the leakers. Okay? They worked the phones and said that it was common practice for certain aides to sneak into the Oval Office and give the president intentionally distracting and infuriating coverage. I was pointed out as the worst offender. If that were true, it was because Donald consistently called me directly or he sent someone to find me and tell me, the president asked for you to stop over. He wants to ask you for something. I would drop whatever I was doing and do as the president asked. I rarely went through the front entrance that you see on the West Wing with the Marines out front doing the door. There were always camera crews of press monitoring the visitors in and out of the entrance. So he had this bitch coming in the back door like Miss Sealy and them. She was undercover. Okay. I took the back way, a route most are unaware of. My usual route was a walk from the EEOB through a corridor up a flight of stairs to another corridor, make a right by the vice president's office, walk straight past the chief of staff's office, and then his many assistants seated in the front row. So, bitch, if a terrorist want to kill our ass or come kill the president, Omarosa just basically told you how to get into the White House West Wing through the back entrance. You go up the side door, make a right, past the bathroom, and then you there. Unlike Reince and Sean, who tried to spoon-feed him only positive news, I didn't filter the good from the bad. He trusted me to be truthful, not to try to manipulate him. Okay? Often he'd reflect to me privately, nostalgically, about the good old days of the small campaign surrounded by his loyal team. Okay? I should have protected myself, but there are no manuals about how to deal with your mentor of nearly 15 years who becomes the president of the United States. I should have set boundaries, gone through the proper channels, but I believe that the Donald would protect me if anything came up. If you made it into his inner circle, he will move heaven and earth to protect you. But there came a point when Donald could not protect me or himself for that matter. Bitch, you protected yourself. That's why you got all these tapes and shit. Stop trying to act like you was Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games, bitch. Calm the fuck down. Now, my top line item from the Trump budget was the reinstatement of year-round Pell Grants. Barack Obama's administration had reduced the benefit to just the fall and spring semesters. During the summer, students were on their own. I went to Mick Mulvaney, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, and launched a campaign to get year-round Pell Grants reinstated at the cost of $2 billion a year. When the budget was finalized, my request was granted. I successfully lobbied for and secured year-round benefits that can help 1 million students nationwide, including students at all 101 HBCUs. I am very proud of that. During the same period, I was trying to get a line item budget increase for HBCUs, which had gotten level funding from the previous year. No cuts, no increases. Now, Omarosa, I feel you. I hear you. I'm all about a year-round Pell Grant. You know, get your education. But, bitch, how are we supposed to believe that it was because of you that people got year-round Pell Grants? I mean, you couldn't even keep the, once again, bitch, you couldn't even keep the president on his best behavior in church. How are we supposed to believe that you lobbied for year-round Pell Grants and it was because of you, bitch? Didn't nobody even like your ass from this book, bitch? Everybody couldn't stand you. So how was they approving your shit? I'm confused. Now, when Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, decided to make her first visit to a college, she chose my alma mater, Howard University. HU, no shade. If I went to college, I was going to be a Bison. That's no shade to Morgan. I'm from Baltimore City. I love Morgan, but it's nothing like that Howard alumni, bitch, except for when y'all hire people to be stealing people's student loan money and they buy Gucci bags with it. But that's another story for another day. Now, I was happy to accompany her to the campus where I got in my master's and worked on my doctorate to meet with HU President Wayne Frederick. I was eager to show her around the Mecca. After the meeting news spread on campus, students protested. They did not want her there and called for the firing of the Howard president for even meeting with her. Now, this is where I have a problem. Like, you want the man fired, okay, because he wanted to meet with Betsy DeVos. We cannot just shut ourselves off from the world. I love Wakanda, but even Wakanda revealed themselves to the world, bitch. Like, we cannot not have meetings, okay? We cannot not talk. I want to know what my enemy's thinking. I want to know what my adversary got on their brain and what's going on. I don't want to be sitting in the dark waiting for the gunshots to come out. You already seen 77% of the NRA is fucking Republican. Bitch. Anyway. Early in the year, she visited Jefferson Middle School Academy in D.C. and was met with protesters who blocked the door. No one wanted DeVos to speak at their school, and her visits were written off as photo ops only. But I was on a mission for increased education funding for HBCUs and wasn't ready to give up on involving the Secretary of Education in the pursuit. On May 10th, DeVos and I went to the graduation ceremony at Bethune-Cookman University, a historically black college in Daytona Beach, Florida. Betsy got up on stage to give her speech and was immediately loudly booed by the entire audience. I remember that. Graduating students and their families stood up and turned their backs on her. I remember that. I was seated on stage watching this travesty unfold. When the booing started, she had wrapped it up, but she went on and on for 20 minutes, talking over the booing. Now, this is how you know Betsy DeVos is a privileged, arrogant white woman, because you got a whole crowd of black people at a university that you are not welcome to, and they are basically telling you, bitch, I'm not trying to hear it, and you still talking. Like, what you got to say matters, and who you are. You have no power in that space, bitch. Entitlement. It's a bitch. I was thinking, it's not about you. Abandon your full speech. Adjust. I love HBCUs so much. And to be on stage with her, to see the entire auditorium of students and parents booing her, and in fact booing Trump and the administration, was painful to experience. I don't know why it was painful for you, bitch. They wasn't booing your ass yet. I asked her later on how she felt about what happened. She said, I did great. These rich people, they crazy. I must have looked stunned. She said, they don't get it. They don't have the capacity to understand what we're trying to accomplish. We don't have the capacity to understand that you're a fucking fraud and you're trying it, but you're nicknamed by the president who fucking recommended your dumb ass is Dixie DeVos. I said, oh no, Madam Secretary, they get it. They get it, and they aren't happy about you or your goals. She issued a statement saying that HBCUs were a form of school choice. No, Secretary DeVos explained, it was not always a choice to go to black colleges. Black students had to attend black colleges because most predominantly white institutions did not accept black students as recently as the 1960s. Her plan in a nutshell is to replace public education with for-profit schools. Okay? Just like for-profit prisons. This bitch is crazy. She's bonkers. I mean, really. You got that hard-ass bang rap in 2018, bitch. I already know you fucking bananas. But nevertheless. She believes it would be better for students. But the truth is, it's about profit. She's so fixated on her agenda, she can't give any consideration to building out public schools, providing financing for them, particularly their infrastructure needs. Schools are shutting down in depressed neighborhoods all over the country to be replaced with for-profit schools, eliminating neighborhood cultural centers, forcing kids to travel great distances with little proof that only charter schools provide a better education. I think that it should be a parental choice. The parents should choose what is best for their children, not Dixie DeVos. Okay, bitch, I'm here for it. The next day, in Florida, she was hosting an event at the Amway Center, and I was instructed to be in a hotel lobby at 8 o'clock a.m. p.m. I arrived at 7:52, but Betsy and her motorcade were nowhere to be found. I texted her staff repeatedly to see where everyone had gone. I got a call. She said, sorry, we had to leave early. Change your plans. Take a Uber. We've been booed by the entire auditorium. People were angry. She's so... Let's pause. Hold the fuck up. So, bitch, she basically told Omarosa to take a hack, bitch. For those of you not from Baltimore, hacks are the original Uber. We were doing that before Uber became an app. Before Uber got gentrified. Before hacking got gentrified. Like, Uber is the gentrified version of a hack. A hack is where you see somebody on the street. You don't even know who the fuck they is. You never met them a day in your life. And you get in their car. And you tell them how much you gonna pay. And then they decide if they gonna ride you or not. Now, if a motherfucker need a pack of cigarettes, $5 will get you a long way. If Big Daddy just got his Cadillac washed, $5 wasn't gonna cut it. You at least had to have 10. But not over 10. You ain't paying $15 for a hack, bitch. But that's a little sidebar. Now, we've been booed by the entire auditorium. I've been getting death threats daily, and she left me completely alone with no security. There's no way she should be the Secretary of Education. Once I returned and told Donald J. Trump about what happened, he shook his head in disgust. He said, she is Dixie DeVos. What do you expect? In a very short period of time, I will get rid of her. Believe me, believe me. She is still serving and destroying the education system in the country. The depth and breadth of her ignorance is a travesty for the children. Number one, Donald's never getting rid of her because she paid for her job, bitch. And last I heard, you can't fucking, give a customer a refund for a job that they paid for. It is what it is. In each cabinet meeting, I was seated in a row near her. I can tell you, after a year of sitting in those meetings and observing her, that she's woefully inadequate and not equipped for her job. She is just as horrible as you would suspect she is. When she recently visited New York City, she went to several schools, but not a single one that was run by the city. New York has more than 1 million public school students, but she did not tour one public school. Not one. She does not care about your children. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid. The battling tweets never stop coming. Be they about a ban on transgenders in the military, the Russia witch hunt, crooked Hillary, or fake news. Internally, in my text change with senior advisors and members of the Trump family, we would react with groans and moans. Okay. Bam, bam. Who cares? Confifi. Next. Okay. Trash. Who gives a fuck? Okay. Trash. Trash. Okay, here we go. The other defining word for the Trump White House during the spring and summer of 2017 was leaks. Things got so bad on the communications team that Sean Spicer ambushed us in his office with a member of the council's office. Okay? He explained that everyone on the team would have to submit their personal and government phones for inspection. So at this point, you know, Sean Spicer had gained weight. It looked like he was drinking. He just looked fucked up in the game. So he had lost his mind. This is before Huckabee Sanders came through and became, you know, Aunt Lydia from the Handmaid's Tale, bitch. He was looking for communications with a particular reporter. Spicer and the lawyer went through our phones one by one. I regret that I did not speak up. It was so clearly a violation. Bitch, you always talking about you regret you. As we have learned by now, Omarosa, you don't say shit, but you do record it, bitch. Now, they told us we could not leave until the inspection was done. I didn't want to rock the boat. So I handed the phone to the White House lawyer and he swiped through my personal photos, stopping at one of my wedding photos and saying congrats. My texts and my emails. I felt disgusted. I was humiliated and I felt powerless. But if I protested, everyone would think I was the leaker. So, bitch, God help you. They basically going through your phone. The way my phone's set up, bitch, they done gave me my shit right back because I got some pictures in there for your ass. Okay, bitch? Don't be going through my phone, bitch. It's locked for a reason. Reports have come out that allegedly many members of the senior staff were also leaking to individuals in the media. Kellyanne Conway had her list of sources. She'd been in Washington for decades, a bona fide swamp creature, and she had any number of people to confide in. Bannon had his people, including now famously Michael Wolff. Ivanka and Jared kept open lines of communication with Joe Scaramucci and Mika Brzezinski. New Yorkers who for much of the campaign were pro-Trump. Hope Hicks was cozy with Maggie Haberman, even though we all suspected Ivanka was the leak. She always acted appalled about other people's leaking, especially if it was unflattering to her. Her father never suspected her though. So bitch, everybody thought Ivanka, they still think Ivanka is the leak, bitch. What if Ivanka is the leak? Because that bitch be quiet. What if low-key she the one that be going off? That would be crazy. The constant leaking created the mother of all hostile work environments. Everybody was paranoid about everyone else. Everyone was angry with someone. Damaging leaks came at everyone daily. Trump was going nuclear daily. Different factions started warring with each other, Hunger Games style. Bannon versus Jared. The RNC faction of Spicer and Ranks against the original Trumpers. Trump was furious about the leaks. They set off violent mood swings and going nuclear outbursts. General John Kelly would report that Trump screamed at him with such violence that he'd never been spoken to by anyone that way before. Kirstjen Nielsen, the head of Homeland Security, recently reported that he yelled at her so offensively she contemplated quitting. Sean Spicer was Trump's personal verbal punching bag. Trump berated Ranks, called him names, mocked him. It was humiliating for everyone to witness. To protect myself and stay above the fray, I only went into meetings I absolutely had to be in. I didn't want to be exposed to certain information because if it leaked and you were in the room, you might fall under suspicion. When people said disparaging things about Donald, even in a joking way, I would say, just for the record, I'm going to remove myself from this conversation. It was like raising a warning flag to let them know that I didn't want to hear it and would not participate. When they said I'm just joking, I would reply, say what you want, but I'm out of here. Of all the senior staff, I might be among the few who was never labeled a leaker. Out of all of the senior staff, I was the only one that was never labeled a leaker. It's always the bitch you never suspect. In my capacity as spokesperson for the OPL, I had to give reporters background information or quotes or contacts, but I never leaked. Donald Trump considered leakers to be traitors. Anyone who would violate his most sacred creed of loyalty would not be forgiven. Okay, trash. Oh, Anthony Scaramucci, Botox face. So, meanwhile, Anthony Scaramucci was finally hired. Remember when Anthony Scaramucci, his dumb ass, went on TV looking like he was surprised every goddamn interview, eyes just out here, bitch, like crazy. Okay? Was finally hired. He'd been chomping at the bit to get started for months. I remember soon after he joined the staff, flying with him on a trip to Ohio on Air Force One, which is supposed to a supremely cool experience, but Anthony couldn't contain himself. He walked around like he owned the place. He was cocky and arrogant, but oddly likable. With Ivanka and Jared's blessing, Donald got rid of the communications director, Mike Dubkey, okay, as well as Sean Spicer, a.k.a. Mr. Men's Warehouse. No shade, bitch. Sean Spicer suits is given buy one, get one free, bitch. It is given Men's Warehouse, you know, summer special, bitch. And that's no shade, okay? He brought in Scaramucci to take over. Sean was allowed to stay in the White House for several weeks to just ramble around and use the office to find a new job. He was given the dignity of a peaceful transition, which was not afforded to me. So, Sean Spicer, like, what job, you know, let you stay on the premises? Bitch, they don't even let you pack up your desk, okay? But his ass get to stay around the White House to find another goddamn job. That's white privilege for your ass. I'm sorry, I know we got people from all around, all over the country, all over, you know, different, you know, countries and shit watching, but that's white privilege. As a black person who works, you know, like, that's, like, we would never be able to stay at a damn job to find another goddamn job. That's just not, that's unheard of. Like, what the fuck, man? Really, okay? Now, my personal relationship with Scaramucci took a blow on his first day when he accused me of plotting against him to block his appointment as director of the OPL 6 months ago. My first thought, he's lumping me in with the leakers. He's here to fire them. He wants to fire me. Then I thought, it's the paranoia. Everybody was pointing fingers at everyone. I had to nip it in the bud immediately because if you were labeled a leaker, your days were numbered. I said, let's go straight to the president to discuss it. I started walking toward the Oval Office. After a few paces, I looked behind me and Anthony was nowhere to be seen. He knew Donald would not be happy with him picking a fight with me in his first week on the job. So Anthony tried Omarosa. Omarosa was like, bitch, let's do this shit. Let's go to the office. Let's fight. His ass jumped shit real quick. Now, to deal with the hostility directed at me because of my long-standing relationship with the president, from the press and white men who surrounded me, I had to put on a silent mask. There were complaints about my title and my pay. Why she paid the same salary as the chief of staff and press secretary, they were asked. I had to employ coping mechanisms like shifting and code switching. If I had defended myself as passionately as I wanted to, I would be described as an angry black woman and would be instantly discounted as and accused of starting confrontations or being hypersensitive because of my race. I have to co-sign her on this. When you in the workplace, especially, I can relate. You got to be real tactful with how you deal with shit like that. Because as soon as a black person or any person, well, as a black person, any person of color, whenever you start to ask questions or you go, not even go off, but assert yourself, you're difficult, you're angry, and that's the problem. So I get where she's coming from on that. Many of the senior white men on the White House staff spoke to me privately with open contempt that will probably shock a lot of people if they have heard it. In public, they were cordial. But when no one else could hear, they changed their tone to demeaning and hostile. Two notable exceptions. Men who treated me with kindness, dignity, and respect were Tom Bossert, former Homeland Security advisor, and the president himself. Anthony Scaramucci held his first press briefing, which I couldn't wait to attend. I sat in the staff seats against the wall next to Kellyanne and watched with bated breath for something exciting to happen. I knew him to be a smooth talker, but to also go off script, just like his idol, the president. I'm going to be very brief, he said when we were off. As soon as he began talking, I fixated on his hands. The gestures reminded me of someone. It took a beat before I realized they were a match to Trump's, down to the cobra-pointed fingers and the starfish finger flail. He thanked Sean Spicer and said, I hope he goes on to make a tremendous amount of money. He described Ranks and himself to be like brothers who like to rough each other up once in a while. Now, just to give you some insight, this bitch didn't even last, I think, a month. I don't even think he lasted a week. He got fired, like, quick as hell, okay? Trash. Oh, okay. So this basically, the rest of this is bullshit. She talking about how her time and how she was, you know, so flattered to be at a rally, and Scaramucci basically getting fired. So, let's unpack this. Now, in this chapter, first off, today was just an eventful day all around. Between the Manafort shit, the Cohen shit, Omarosa was on Hardball today at 7. I missed that. I watched the recaps. But reading this book, like, can you imagine living in that madness? Can you, like, really imagine that? She really kind of painted Kellyanne Conway to be exactly what I thought she was, which is a flip-flopper. That bitch ain't loyal. She there for a check. You know, but this shit is crazy. You know what I'm saying? The Betsy DeVos going to the schools. Like, these are highly unqualified people. But the whole shade is Mike Pence getting a pack together because in his mind, he knows that Donald is going to get impeached, but he's not going to be able to make it through the term. That's crazy to me. Insane. Now, we're going to pick this up, let's say, guys, Thursday? Let's do Thursday. We can cover the unraveling, or we might talk about how Omarosa was beefing with everybody in the White House, and all her co-workers. That'll be cute, but we'll definitely do that. Hopefully you're far along in the book. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at GODDM. GODDM. Also, too, I can't thank you guys enough for subscribing to the YouTube. You guys, the calls that I've been getting, the messages from you guys is amazing. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. Like, I feel a mission and a calling for this. And I'm not saying I'm going to be this, like, great political mind of the 21st century. But I am a nosy bitch. And you guys have really fueled me to find out more and dig deeper and bring that knowledge back. I will be going to the National Black Caucus next month. I'm going to drop in and see what that's giving. I think we're going to do April Ryan's book. Don't forget the official podcast launches on September 4th. We will be talking about not only politics and the shady-ass White House, but we're also going to talk about some pop culture stuff, you know, that's fun, lighten the mood, music, a few things, and get my take on it. We have a set, bitch. It's given set. You will be able to watch the Secretary of Shade podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. YouTube, search Secretary of Shade, as well as on SoundCloud. We will have the audio available on SoundCloud as well as on Apple and Spotify. So we will have this going well. I appreciate all of you. If I haven't responded to every message, it's quite frankly, a bitch is not used to this many DMs. Don't nobody like my ass in regular life, so I don't get to nobody be down in the DM with me until now. So I'll definitely be calling everyone that I need to call and get it with you. Once again, y'all have a blessed night. Get into all of this White House tea, and y'all be safe out here. I'll see you Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to the cabinet merch coming soon, all that. Y'all be blessed.